Okay, so the rain has all gone now. Sun is out, ground is drying out nicely. It's time to crack on, get our pipes connected and start to fill in the trenches. It's amazing what about a week can do. Last time we saw this, it was absolutely chockers full of water, and now it's dried out beautifully. Not too much mess in the trenches to clean out. There was a little tiny bit there that I had to scoop out yesterday, but today we're going to start with tapping into the main line here. So we'll shut off some water and let's get into it. Okay, so we've got our fitting here now. We don't have to fully remove these ends. They can just stay loose but stay attached, if you will. Now, because we've got this section here, we actually have to take a little bit more off this pipe because this is obviously adding its own bit of space. These pipes go into about there, which is about 1 inch either side. So we've got to take about 2 inches out of this to get the right spacing. So we'll just measure down 2 inches, which is about there. We'll cut another bit out. And that might still be a little bit too short, but we'll see. We'll see how we go. I'll go with this one here first. Push it in until it stops. We'll just tighten up like that for now, and we are good. So I'll tighten those up with a wrench at the end, but for now, I don't think you can see this one, but we're going to point this one down this way. So same sort of deal. All we do in this case is loosen these off. And twist him around like that and tighten him back up, and that's it. That's good. Obviously we'll pressure check this at the end to make sure this is not leaking again. If we have any dramas, it might need looking at, but it should be fine. All we need to now is join our pipe into there and we're good to go. Give these a little nip up, make sure they're nice and tight with some pipe wrenches here. And that's as complicated as that part gets. Okay, so I've got our pipe in the trench now. We're coming up to our first intersection. The other thing I have also done is I've run that second pipe, which will lead to our new lot of sprinklers around the corner as we go. So we'll go up here now and we'll start doing our first tap installation on the post. So it's time to start building our garden tap now. So we'll start with some thread tape. going from the beginning of the thread around, following the actual thread itself. So as you can see, I'm going from the bottom and bringing it around, and that sort of 10 to 12 laps, starting working our way towards the end and then coming back down a little bit. And as we finish off, just apply a little bit of pressure, and that's it. Now, we'll attach it to one of these, and we're going to use this paste, or this joining paste called Stag. This is the stuff that Warren was talking about in the last video. He didn't have any there at the time. He's got it in for me. Basically, it can help to seal any potential leaks or anything that you may get, because once these two marry together, these can sort of stretch, I guess, a little bit over time, and I guess maybe deform, I guess is the word. And this paste here will take away any of that leak. So I've actually never used this before, but I'm keen to give it a go. But so he said it's a bit messy, so we'll just chuck some gloves on, because apparently the hotter it gets, in other words, temperature wise, the more runny this stuff is. So bear with me here for a moment. Not very good at this, am I? Righto. And it's just a little bit, apparently goes a long way. He did give me a little demo of this yesterday in the shop when I went to pick it up, and he made it look easy, and I bet you I stuff it up. Yeah, it looks like rusty sort of grease. So I don't need much, so he tells me, and I think it was just go around like so, wipe on that rag there, and we'll take our fitting and we screw it on. Yeah, it bites in hard, this stuff. I can see what, it just gets to a point and it doesn't want to go any further. So as you can see, it's just protruding around the bottom there, and apparently that's all that we require. So that should give us a really good seal. So we'll build the rest of this up and we'll get it attached to that post. That's actually really hard with gloves on. Oh, that stuff sort of does kind of set a bit quick. I think that's going to be how it's going to be. Straight each end, happy days. Righto. I might actually mount this and then put this tap on later. It just might be a little bit easy to manage. It won't be as top heavy. So all we do now is get our self-tapping metal screws here, and we're set. Not too bad at all. Let's have a quick look at this level. Good there. Good there. So we'll pack him in, put a little cap on top, wind our tap on, and we can move on to the next one. So we'll move on now to this back section here on the back fence. A little bit of material has washed in since the last rain, so I'll just clean it out. I think that'll be pretty good. We'll just do a rough height check. I'm not going to get super fussy with the height to make sure they're all identical the same, but on this sort of area, in this sort of distance, you're not going to know. Look, I think that's going to be quite okay. A little bit of concrete there. I might just try and just chip a bit of that away, just so I can get it a bit closer. I've got a crowbar there, so I'll give it a go and just try and clean it up a bit. Lovely. Yep, much better. Righto, I'll whip this one up and we'll get it in. Righto, so that's our 4 taps in now. Everything's been clamped down. We've got one join to go. This stuff is really interesting because you can tell it bites in. It gets to a point where you can turn it and it sort of locks in. But as was said, it's really messy. It just gets everywhere. So I'd be interested to see how it goes. So we'll do that last connection. Then the most important thing obviously is to charge this system back up. In other words, open the tap, let the water flood through, and just check for leaks before we backfill, because that's the most important thing. Righto, we'll check this first one here. Hopefully there's nothing dripping. And it looks so far so good. So we've got nothing under there. That one there is looking good too. We'll head up the back and see what's happening out there. So we've got nothing there, nothing there. Bleed a little bit. That one's good. One up the back there's running, but I did that on purpose. I did that to kind of bleed the system up to here. I'll have to turn this one off and check it later for any leaks, and we'll go from there. Okay, we'll just check these last 2 here and we'll move on. Nice and dry down there. Nice and dry there. We'll turn it on and see how we go. It might not be so dry once this system bleeds out, but we'll see. Okay, leak test is now done. There was this one here, that I had to just adjust a little bit. It was actually coming out of here, and I don't think I actually tightened this pipe up to that elbow too well. So I just quickly adjusted it. All things look to be pretty good now. We'll leave these open tonight. As I said, we're going to backfill this tomorrow morning. I'm going to crack on now and get the pipes in the ground for our pop-ups. That's not going to be, the pop-up part of this will not be in this video. I'll save it for a separate video, but I'll just throw this in here now. So the next video, we're pretty much dealing with valves and sprinklers, controllers, and adjusting sprinklers, etc. So let's get that done and we'll move on. So as the afternoon wears on now, I need to get these sprinklers marked out. So this area here is where we're putting our Sir Grain zoysia. Now, as I mentioned before, not actually going to install any sprinklers or anything today in this video. I'm just going to mark out everything now and put in the fittings. So when it comes time to do the sprinklers, they're already marked out and just speed up the next process. So I've drawn this area up to scale and I've marked it all out. So I've got them all here spaced out. Everything's touching head to head, etc. We'll go into more detail on that one in that episode. But for now, I just need to try and speed things up. So obviously these are easy. There's going to be one pink mark there for that corner, pink mark there for that corner, but along here, I'll have to measure and mark as I go. So that's my job now, measure and mark, get all this pipe in today before the sun goes down. So let's keep moving. Starting to run out of a little bit of light now, but what I've done is to try and speed this up. I've marked them out as I just showed, and I've dropped everything here where there's a fitting needed. With the actual sprinkler fittings, which are these ones here, because they're on an articulated riser, in other words, it's an elbow thing I'll put up on screen that allows you to raise and lower the sprinkler to get the perfect level. That part of that riser is about 200, so 20 centimeters long. So when I actually put these in to get them exactly where I need them, I have to offset them 20 centimeters to give us about that 20 centimeter back, which will make sense when we do it, to get our sprinklers exactly where they need them to go. So that's a trap for some new players that might use those, but today I'm aware of it, and we just have to make our cuts about 20 centimeters back from where we actually want the sprinkler to be. Okay, as the sun's going down, I was making pretty good progress and I thought I'd run out of pipe, and I have. I've got probably half done, I reckon, which is not a bad head start. So in the morning, I'm gonna have to go down and just get some more pipe, but pretty happy with how it's looking at this stage. Looks a bit rough right now, but it'll settle in once it gets backfilled. I managed to get all the way here, and unfortunately my last long piece just wasn't quite long enough to get to there. So tomorrow I've got to go all the way along here and then up the fence to join up to about where that pile of bricks is. So I'll see you guys in the morning. New day, new hat. It's starting to get a bit sunny now for my bald patch, and I had a haircut this morning, so I didn't want funny lines from a trucker's cap etched into my head with sunburn or something. Okay, so this morning I've finished off inserting the fittings here. I've just weighed down the pipe with some bricks just to keep it in place until we sort of backfill. Got everything sort of lined up but off-centered due to the riser stakes, the articulated risers that we talked about, so that's all good for now. So from here on in now, we're just going to grab the Toro Trackmaster from Valley Outdoor Scone and start backfilling trenches. No dramas overnight. None of the taps have developed any leaks, which is a great sign. So yeah, let's crack on with some trench backfilling. So the time has finally come and the weather is actually fine and kind to backfill those trenches. Now I want to say a huge shout out to Valley Outdoors, particularly the Scone branch. Now they've been supporters of this channel for so long now. So I want to thank them for hooking me up with this awesome gear. They've got locations in Tamworth, Scone, Singleton and Thornton. And of course, Singleton is the home of Lawn Culture Australia. So check them guys out. They've got an amazing giveaway coming up where they're actually giving away, or raffling off, no, sorry, they're giving away, get it right, Brenton. They're giving away a 20-inch Scott Bonnet Unicorn, fully restored. It looks mint. Go check out them and see how you can enter to win that fantastic prize. So I've got myself here a blade here with an angle adjustment. Just want to bring the trenches, the spill or the spoil from the trenches a bit closer to the hole. Got a bucket if I need it. And then this thing here, this is our trench backfilling machine. So 2 auger blades, and they basically munch all the dirt together, fine it down and drop it in the hole. So I'm going to move the stuff a little bit closer to the hole with the blade, jump across to the backfiller, and then if I need the bucket's there as well. So while the sun's shining, better get moving. Righto, well, we're running out of light now. It's just after 5 PM, so we'll wrap it up for today. But that backfilling attachment is not a bad thing. It's a little bit fiddly. Got to go over it a few times, but at the end of the day, you do end up with some nice little mounds, which over time will settle. I need a little bit more work up on that one, but I'm pretty happy. Considering all this area here is still sort of drying out and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, not too bad. The blade definitely helped just to move it closer, just to sort of break it up, because at the bottom of those piles of dirt, it was pretty gluggy. So we'll pick this up again in the morning. Well, good morning, and you can't make this stuff up. I woke up this morning to the sound of, you guessed it, more rain. Luckily though, it wasn't very much, less than a mil. And the forecast as we look around is for a better sort of day. But it's amazing just how quickly things here are changing at the moment. Not enough to stop progress, just enough to make stuff stick to your boots and just be an absolute pain in the backside. So this morning, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to focus on a bit of manual work down here, just around our sprinkler fittings. So for example, I want to backfill these trenches nice, so I'm going to expose this fitting here, clean around it. And when it comes time in another video to put the sprinklers in. We'll actually just around the sprinklers fill it with sand. But the general pipe area where there's no fittings can just be this terrible clay stuff that we're working with. Again, there's one here, which is fairly much good to go. It's going to backfill sort of a foot either side of it. And as we go around, same sort of deal. Just a bit of manual manipulation, if you will. And that's the plan for today. So I'm just doing some fine tuning on the system now. As you can see, our sprinkler port will come out here, but it comes out a bit of an angle. Well, actually, when it's connected, it's about there. Our articulated joint will send the pipe this way and up. I'm just going to reduce the length of this pipe. I'm going to cut it off so it's about there. Gives us a nice square amount so the sprinkler will come up here and sit nicely in that corner. So I'm probably going to trim off about 5 centimeters, 2 inches, something like that. And as you can see, that squares that up nicely, and it will be the same on that other corner there. Now, if I was doing sprinklers at exactly the same time, I could tailor this as we went, but because I'm sort of doing a bit of forward planning, that's why I'm going to do it this way. So a little bit more mucking around, but it should speed things up when we go to put our sprinklers in. So as you can see now, when we come along, our riser will come out, travel along and then come up. Should be just right and nice and square. Yesterday afternoon got a little bit hectic. I just had to get on and do a few things. So I'm back here this morning just to tidy up a few loose ends and show you guys what's been happening yesterday. So everything now is tidied up. Everything now is backfilled. I'll just quickly show you guys what I've done with the sprinklers. So I've got them all now, well, where the sprinklers will go. I've got them now all plumbed in. It's all backfilled quite nicely. So happy with that. You'll see, I'll show you here what I like to do. And actually, before I go any further, if there are any irrigation technicians watching this, chime in because I'd be interested to hear in your comments. I leave a little bit of a space here. So I've got and it'll make sense when we put the risers in. This gives us a little bit of room and the sprinkler should come across and line up perfectly with our mark. And having the space here just gives us a bit of room to work. The pipe's not flush up against the pathway here. So I've chosen to do it this way. Again, I've used to use a brick for spacing and to keep the pipe sort of how I want it. Again, along through here. Down there's a little bit of a different story because it's sort of heading back that way. Another one over there, one up in that top corner, one there, and back over there. So that's all good. Another thing that came up in the comments of the last video was how I was planning to get under the driveway out the front. So let's go and have a look at that one now. So yeah, I was kind of forward thinking again when it came to getting this driveway down. So I did actually ask them to put in for me a pipe that I can poke my irrigation lines through, and obviously I also got a conduit here which runs across to the house for where we're going to do our controller. Now, the other thing I also did was I have actually got pipes under the driveway, under the pathway, so I can do irrigation along the street. So I've got all those bases covered. Now, one final thing before we sign off today, let's do a couple of flow tests. Let's do a flow test at this tap here, which is the closest to the water meter. And we'll do a flow test right up the back at the furthest point away and just see how much variation there is and what sort of a flow we're going to receive at the other end. One of the most important steps when designing an irrigation system is to have the information that you need. One of those critical pieces of information is actually a flow test, and that basically dictates how many sprinklers you can have running at once or how many areas that you'll need, etc. We're going to do this test now just to see if there's much variation between what's coming here straight from the meter and what's at our furthest tap in the backyard since I put in the extra tap. So basically I've just rigged up this very crude system. I've got a piece of poly here. We've got a 9 litre bucket. So we normally measure this with a 9 litre bucket. So the way we do it is we simply turn the tap on all the way. I'm hoping that doesn't blow out. Got our tap running, you can see we've got pretty good flow here. What I need is a timer. Okay, so tap's running all the way. Start our timer and okay, so that took 7 seconds, and the calculation we do now is 60, because there's 60 seconds to a minute. Then we divide that by 7 seconds that it took to fill the bucket, equals 8.5 times by 9 is 77 litres a minute. So that's ridiculously good flow. We'll head up the back now and we'll see what we get up there. Okay, so we'll come up to our back tap here, which is probably our most furthest tap and our most elevated tap. Now there's going to be a loss in flow, which is friction loss. We won't go into that today, but it'll still be quite impressive, I think. Let's find out. Mac. Okay. So as predicted, a little bit less. We've come up at 8.5. Now 8.5 is still very, very good. So let's just run the figures on 8.5. So we start with 60, we divide it by 8.5, equals 7.05 times by 9, gives us a flow of 63.5 litres per minute. So we do lose a little bit, but we're still well ahead of the curve. So just to put this into perspective, if I was designing a system of irrigation, which we'll do down there, I can run technically enough sprinklers that add up to 63.5 litres of water per minute collectively. Now I would like to add some redundancy into that, so if it's the middle of summer, the whole street's irrigating, so I'd probably take 10 or 15% off that, just to be on the safe side. Really good flow up the back here, it's absolutely usable. And I think it's actually well above and beyond most modern estates, which run at about 30 to 40 litres per minute, somewhere there, maybe 50. So sitting where I'm at, I'm more than happy. Well, we'll wrap it up here for today. If you've enjoyed the episode, please like, share, subscribe, and we'll catch you next time on the Aussie Lawn.